I would like to thank my family, my husband, Mark, my sister, they're table 5, my sister and her husband, my mom and dad, my Nana and Pappy, and Ellen and Tim. Thank you for being here tonight. To understand my story, you must understand a couple things about me. And the first thing is that I'm a math teacher, and every day I put a quote of the week on the board. And although I know that math isn't everyone's forte, I do know that it's important, but I try to vary my teaching skills so that kids stay interested. And the quote that I put on the board, sometimes it's funny and sometimes it's serious, but we always talk about it on the Monday that we come in, and it gives them something to think about. And at the bottom of the board, I have the quote of the year, which is the motto that I personally live by, and I think a lot of you should as well, and it's don't give up, don't ever give up. And we all know who said it, and it's nice for me because in 8th grade some of the kids don't know who said that, so it gives me an opportunity to explain who Jimmy B was and how to relate it to math and everyday life. So that's the first thing you should know about me. The second thing is, you should know I'm a very competitive person, and athletics is such a big part of my life. And I get this from my family. We are a very competitive family. My sister and I played basketball and volleyball in high school, and then we went along to St. Vincent College and played basketball there. 2 of my aunts went to Division I schools to play basketball, and the one is currently a coach at Cornell University for the women's team. My brother, who couldn't be here tonight because I'm sure he's somewhere in a library studying on a Saturday night. No, I'm sure he's up at Cornell. He throws the javelin and plays football. My husband, Mark, he played rugby and football in college, and my brother-in-law, Steve, he plays football in college, and he coaches football. So we're a very, very athletic, competitive family. Everything we do is very competitive, from filling out NCAA brackets to playing Scrabble in the hospital, which I'm undefeated, by the way. Even on family vacations, when we cook dinners, my mom's one of 8, and so when we go away and they cook dinners, we always are like, yours is better than hers. We're very, very competitive people. And you're probably wondering, why in the world is she sitting up there telling me this? Well, I believe that every athlete is very in tune with their body. I feel like fighting cancer is a lot like playing the championship game, regardless of who's playing, if it's little kids or if it's the Division I championship game. You just have to tie up your shoes and give it your all and hope for the best. And I think that if you have an outlook on life like that, that you can be a very successful person. So in the program, I know it says a little bit about my history. When I was 14, I was a freshman in high school. I was first diagnosed with leukemia, and it was because I was playing basketball on the varsity team, and my parents had noticed I was becoming sluggish, and so everyone thought I had mono. We went to the doctor to rule out all serious illnesses, and they came back and they're like, you need to go to see a specialist. So we went, and we were waiting for the results, and we were watching the movie Hoosiers, which is another coincidence. And I'll never forget that moment when Dr. Woolman, who some of you in this room might know, he came in and walked into my room, and my parents were there. It was on my mom's birthday, and he just looked at us and he said, you know, you have leukemia. And when I was 14, I just pictured leukemia. I didn't know a lot about it. I just pictured it as cancer, which it is, and it's the leading childhood cancer out there. And so it was the first time I saw my dad cry. It was a very hard day for us, but I feel like if I hadn't been playing sports, and specifically basketball, I wouldn't have known so quickly, and they wouldn't have caught it so quickly, and I might not have been so lucky. So I went through 3 treatments of chemotherapy and then 2 years of maintenance, and I was able to go back to school my sophomore year and end up continuing playing basketball and volleyball. So that was my first round with cancer. Then fast forward to this sophomore year of my spring semester of college, when I was loving life as a college athlete, and we were in our spring basketball workouts, our conditioning. We had just had a month off for the season, and then we were back at it, and I couldn't keep up with the other girls, and I just attributed it again to fatigue. And back in my mind, I thought about relapsing, but that's something you don't ever want to really go through again, so I just put it in the back of my mind. And then on Easter break, we went home, and my mom was concerned about me losing weight, but you know, girls are, I thought I was looking good. When really I was losing weight. And so she said to me, you know, is everything okay? And I said, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about me. I know. I got it under control. And that night, it was Easter night, and I prayed and I asked God for a sign. And I said, you know, if this is back, I need something to slap me in the face and tell me, you need to go to the doctor and check it out. So on Easter morning, I woke up unable to move my legs. So I knew it was back, and so the next day, my mom and my sister and I went to the doctor, and Dr. Woolman once again, you know, came into the room and was like, it's back. So this time I had to choose whether or not I wanted to go through 2 years of chemotherapy or a bone marrow transplant. And my sister and I are identical twins, and so they said that would be the easiest transplant to go through, but the only downfall is you don't ever know if your bone marrow grows back or my sister's would, totally, because we have the same bone marrow. So I opted for that option because it was the quicker option, and it seemed like the safer option, and my sister's bone marrow provided me with 6 of the most wonderful years of my life. These 6 years, I graduated from St. Vincent, landed a math teaching job and coaching volleyball at my alma mater, was engaged to be married July 10th of 2010, last summer, and to my soulmate, I think, and my love of my life. I've known him since we played on the same soccer team when we were 6 years old, and dated in high school, and then we went our several ways to college. And we rekindled our love at one of Steve's family owns a business, and it was at a Christmas party that we went to together as a couple. So I'd like to give Jody and Steve some credit for keeping us connected throughout the years. I also started my master's degree, so life was good. Life was really good. And then May 5th happened last year. I had taken over the volleyball head coaching position for a little while because my good friend and head coach on the volleyball team also was dealing with cancer, and at the time she was unable to host open gyms, and so she was there that day, and sometimes during volleyball, our conditioning, I do P90X. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, but I pretend like I'm Tony Horton, and girls follow what I do. It might be funny to only a couple people. If you knew who Tony Horton was, you'd laugh at that. I was showing them a move on the floor, and when I got up, I noticed 2 deep purple bruises on my hips. And so we continued practice, and after practice, I went and saw Mark, and I said, I'm a little concerned. I have these bruises on my hips, and he was like, you need to go to the doctor and get them checked out. So I didn't tell anyone in my family I was going down because I didn't want them to worry. I thought maybe I was overreacting, and with everything coming up, with us moving into our house and our wedding coming up, I was just thinking the worst. So that Thursday, I made an appointment for Friday, and the kids at school were like, Miss Fick, that's my maiden name, is everything okay? And I said, yeah, everything's fine, but I was thinking about it all day. Then Friday, I drove back down to the new children's hospital and went into a room and got some blood testing done. And when for the third time I saw Dr. Woolman, he came in, and by the look on his face, I just knew, it's back. So This time I had a lot of decisions to make. It's a lot harder to battle cancer as an adult than it was as a child, because as a child your parents kind of just like pull the wool over your eyes and like they deal with everything and you just deal with getting better. But as an adult you have to worry about your job and there's so much more you have to worry about. But I've been so fortunate with such a wonderful support system that I haven't had to worry about any of that. Mark and I decided to push up our wedding to May 31st of 2010, so we are newlyweds who spent a lot of time in our Lawrenceville apartment in our house. And my transplant was August 27th, and I had to choose whether to stay at Children's or move to an adult facility. And so that was another decision that we had discussed as a family and as a couple, and I chose to stay at Children's because of the care that they had provided me. And it's a wonderful new facility. If any of you haven't ever been there, I would suggest you going to check it out because it's a pretty cool place. So I chose Children's to stay, and I got an unrelated donor on August 27th. I continue to be in and out of the hospital dealing with issues with chemotherapy and then the transplant, and currently I'm battling graft versus host disease of my GI tract. But it looks like things are on the mend, and so I slowly look forward to getting stronger and getting back to the size that I was, and not losing any more weight. I'm done with that. I would never wish cancer on anyone, but during my battles, I really noticed how supporting, caring people are. And I couldn't have asked for a more supportive family and friends, co-workers, or my community, my team. To this day, my parents and my husband and my sister, my brother, and my aunt, they stay with me every night. I never stayed at the hospital by myself. And I really appreciate that. My mom has been fortunate enough, because of the people that she works with and for the law offices of Anderson Price. I'll put it out there so I don't know where they are. The past 2 times I've relapsed, they've let her take a leave of absence from work to be my personal assistant, which I do appreciate on a lot of levels. She shops for me and she does a lot for me. I also would like to thank people for visiting me and my community. They've held fundraisers and events for me, and it's just very overwhelming as a person to have all of that and to see how people care so much. People like all of you in this room, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here. So I appreciate that. In the big scheme of things, it's not about winning or losing. It's about what you've learned along the way. Coaching, I feel, is the next best thing to being out there on the court. And when Ellen and I took over the volleyball program in 2007, we only won 1 game. After recruiting at the junior high level and teaching basic skills, and most importantly teaching the girls that it's not always the most talented teams that win, but the hardest working in the off season, when times are tough, when you feel like giving up, if you put trust in each other, good things will happen. Well, this past season, these qualities were put to the test for our team. Could you imagine if you were on a team and both of your coaches were diagnosed with cancer? It's been a real tough year for us. They could have easily fallen apart and given up, but instead they did just the opposite. With the help of Tim, Ellen's husband, and my sister taking over my position, and our one volunteer coach, Dan, the girls worked and they rallied around Ellen and I, and they worked hard in the off season, and they were a team with such camaraderie. And I didn't have the opportunity to be there physically a lot. Every time I was home from the hospital, I would go to the games, but even to watch them on Skype once I did, and just to see them rally together, it reminded me of my own team my junior year of high school. We were very successful. We went 23-2, which is a school record, I might add. But it takes time to build a program, and this year, with the help of them all, we became section champions and made it to the second round of the playoffs, which is something that Kidsey Volleyball hasn't done since 1999. So.